Thank you, Chairman. As the Chairman said, my name is David Walsh. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Netwatch. We're based in Carlow. I'm delighted and honoured to be here today. Very happy to make a positive and meaningful contribution to helping you shape the future landscape of the area where SMEs in this country operate. I promise to be open and honest in my comments today, and in that context I have to say this, that I do not believe that the system is broken. I believe we have a very good system here in Ireland, but it needs to be tweaked. It needs to be tweaked to be relevant to the times we're in now compared to some time in the past. My observations will be through the lens of an Irish indigenous company that is international focused. Other speakers are better equipped to address the challenges of SMEs who exercise their prerogative to remain here in the island of Ireland, create jobs in Ireland, do their business in Ireland, and in doing so do a fantastic job in their local communities. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a quick review or overview of Netwatch and how, with the support of state agencies, particularly LEO and indeed Enterprise Ireland, we grew from a small start-up out of Carlow into a large global business. And now we're one of the largest employers in the southeast region of Ireland. Following that, I want to reflect on my experience over the last 16 years, and I want to focus on just 3 key areas which I believe, if they are tweaked, would lead to more start-ups in this country and indeed would enable and empower existing SMEs to deliver their full potential. Those 3 areas I want to speak about are along the journey we experienced ourselves, from the very beginning to what happened in the middle to what happens at the end when an entrepreneur decides to retire. So I'm going to look at the financial supports that are there for startups. I'll talk about innovation and its importance in SMEs and how it should be supported. And finally, I want to talk about the incentives that should be there in terms of promoting and driving entrepreneurship in this country. Firstly, let me tell you about Netwatch. Netwatch is a Carlow company. We're very, very proud of that fact. We see it as part of our competitive advantage. And we started Netwatch back in 2003. So as our friends across the pond in the USA would say, we have just completed 63 quarters. And we've grown every single quarter without exception for those 63 quarters, albeit that there was challenges along the way. We now have 300,000 customers across 4 continents. We employ 600 people across the globe, 200 of which are in Ireland. The vast majority are based in Carlow. I am proud, like Prior said earlier on, in terms of what we can give the people of Carlow. We give them the opportunity to live and to work in their local community. But our impact is far greater than just direct employment. Many local enterprises in Carlow are suppliers to Netwatch. In addition, as Pádraig said earlier, we invest heavily in the local community. We invest in local charities, schools, sports, particularly GAA and rugby, because it's very important to ourselves. And our key objective is to bring life to the wider community where we actually make our business ourselves. So looking back over our journey, there has been challenges. There's no question about that. There's been challenges at every single stage. And many of those challenges are still there today. I would say this, that the hardest part of the journey was step 1 in terms of raising seed capital, finance to grow the business. We were turned down by our very first bank. The second bank we went to forced us, and I use the word forced deliberately, to sign personal guarantees or we wouldn't get the finance in place. And would you believe it took us 5 years of positive training to force that bank to release those personal guarantees. If we are serious as a country in terms of getting more startups into the funnel that create big businesses, then no startup ever should be asked to sign personal guarantees. It's bad enough to give up the comfort of a regular salary, bad enough to remove the safety net of the social welfare system. But there's a window when somebody is starting a business, when they're thinking about it or not, where the fear of failure can become a stronger emotion than the hope of success. And when somebody is asked to give up the salary, give up the social welfare piece, safety net, and to sign a personal guarantee, that can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I'm absolutely certain there are many people I've spoken to over the years who had fantastic ideas, but because of the necessity to sign personal guarantees, they didn't start their business. The second point I would talk about is innovation, how we grow our businesses. There's no doubt about it, innovation is the key to sustainable success. It's our competitive advantage, our unique value proposition. And we live in a market of rapid change across the globe, absolutely across the globe. In my view, there are only 2 types of organizations in the world when it comes to change. Those that are drivers of change and those that are victims of change. And unfortunately, companies who are victims of change don't survive. They have a stay of execution. So when the rate of change in the external market is faster than the rate of change in our own companies, then we're going to become victims of change. Therefore, R&D is absolutely critical if we are going to grow our business and compete particularly internationally. And that brings me to the point what I'm talking about here. The R&D tax credit system, which was designed to encourage Irish SMEs to invest in R&D, in my view, it was great on paper, but in reality, it doesn't work. It's too onerous, it's too complicated. You need to have a dedicated accounts department alone dealing with the R&D applications. Not only that, but then you have to recheck, and the only specialists in the country are probably involved with the top 4 accountancy firms to make sure that the application is correct. But even after that, Revenue has 5 years to come back and audit your accounts and audit to see if you did the right job. It is too onerous. It's very, very important that we innovate. Innovation is at the heart of everything we do in NetWatch. Using the very best brains of Carlo IT, which is on our doorstep, we set up our own R&D department many years ago. The results are breathtaking. We now have a suite of software solutions that allows us to compete with very large organizations across the globe, companies who are 10 times the size of NetWatch. But we can beat them, not on price. We beat them in quality, and we beat them in terms of the services that we provide. Again, we used the R&D tax credit system in the first year or two, but we stopped. It was too cumbersome. It was just too much hassle. This year we'll invest over €1 million in R&D in our organisation, and we'll take it on the chin. We'll do it ourselves because it's the right thing to do, but there should be support there for it. We're lucky as an organisation. We're financially strong. We have a financial backer that understands R&D. But the vast majority of SMEs cannot invest the way we invest in terms of, so somebody has to look at that. Finally, I want to talk about the end of the journey, as it were, from an entrepreneurial perspective, and how we reward or indeed punish entrepreneurial risk. As I said earlier, there's financial risk in the start, but equally, it's my belief that we get penalised when we retire from a business. We grow a business and then we sell it, or whatever we do to capitalise that, we retire, and we are paying extraordinary tax rates of 33% capital gains tax in this country, which is completely at odds with other countries around the globe. And just take north of the border. Just take a very, very simple example. 2 guys grow their business, one in Dundalk, one 3 miles north of that in Newry, and let's say they both sell their businesses for 5 million. Joe Murphy in Newry pays 500,000 to revenue, which is not insignificant in its own right. His cousin, 3 miles south, has to pay 1.4 million in capital gains. It's wrong. If we're serious about driving economic activity in terms of supporting entrepreneurs, then we have to support them on the way in, and literally we can't screw them on the way out. That's just the way it is. I wouldn't want to conclude by saying this. I think the recession has changed us all, everybody in this country, including the SME market, and Pádraig was alluding to this earlier on. There now is a new breed of entrepreneur that understands our responsibilities in terms of contributing to the prosperity of the nation as a whole. And it's driven by the knowledge that the Ireland that we live in today is the legacy of those who have gone before us. Great men, great women, who took risks, made sacrifices so that we could have a better life. Some paid the ultimate sacrifice so that this nation could be free. Free to have its own culture, its own language, its own identity. Free to make its mark in the world, like we've done for generations. Modern day freedom comes from economic activity. Economic activity and economic independence for a country the size of Ireland, a small open economy, comes from generating business, creating jobs. And more importantly, it comes from international trade. Irish entrepreneurs have never ever been in a better position than now to go to international waters, to explore opportunities, to exploit those opportunities, and bring those spoils back to Ireland. And yes, contribute to the big elephant in the room, which is our national debt that we have. We are creating jobs, employment is high, but we still have the big issue of national debt. There's no doubt about it that the decisions that we make, and I want to influence you on this if I can, the actions that we take and that you take will be the legacy of future generations. I think there's a window now to make some of these changes I'm speaking about, and we'll leave a legacy that we can be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Next, Evelyn O'Toole, CEO, Complete Laboratory Solutions.
Thanks, Chair Paul Coughlin. Thanks, Pádraig Ó Céide, and